You know, ever since I was a kid, I've always built things. I've always enjoyed making things with my hands.
I think the reason I was interested in furniture design is the desire to make things that are unique and mean something to you, and then just make something that you think is beautiful.
Taking what no one else sees any value in anymore and turning it into something with value, something with beauty, to me is really interesting.
Reusing, I think, is really interesting because it brings something that a lot of people don't see very much potential in, and making something that was not beautiful, beautiful.
When I think about it, this is really the story of taking something that was once trash and turning it into something more.
People throw logs and trees away all the time in urban areas. In fact, our best estimate is that anywhere from 3 to 4 billion board feet annually of trees that could produce lumber end up as mulch or fuel or end up in a landfill. The last remaining urban natural resource is being thrown away or burned or put through a chipper. No, not going to happen.
I think it's about 20%, almost 20% of a lot of municipalities' waste stream can come from their wood debris. Around the turn of the century, it was around 160 million tons annually that were going into our landfills. And so it's a substantial amount of waste that could find other uses if we could overcome some of the challenges of using it.
There's something about taking a tree and taking it all the way through that process that I've always been attracted to. I don't know exactly why. There's just something about it that seems like that's like the full experience. I'll find out if it is the full experience, but...
Well, I don't recall quite when me and Silas first talked about milling wood possibly, but we had talked about it briefly. Then after a storm, a tree in one of my friends' neighborhoods blew down.
Driving around, there was a huge tree falling in across a driveway in Maple Ash.
Well, we've lived here at this house for about 20 years. This is one of the oldest neighborhoods. I think it is the oldest neighborhood in Tempe, and we were drawn to the neighborhood because of the eclectic character of the neighborhood and the people and closeness to ASU.
And the big trees.
And the big trees, of course.
It just seemed like too much. I was in the car with my family at the time, and Allison was like, hey, you should check it out. And I was like, no, no. It just seemed like too much.
When a tree comes down, I think one of the things that people think about is what do you do with the remains? You know, we weren't really sure what to do.
Oh, it most definitely just would have been sawed up and thrown in the landfill. When I went by and checked it out the first time, the guy that was, he was just sawing hunks of it off, throwing it in his truck, so.
Yeah, a few days later, I mentioned it to James, because James had said, oh, that would be cool to do too. And I thought, all right, let's give it a try. There's this tree. And then he said, yeah, let's give it a shot. So that started the process.
I'd never thought about what to do with it or where it was going to go or the fact that it might occupy the landfill. And so we're both, really pleased to think that there's going to be a life beyond it standing in our yard and becoming some kind of art piece or functional art piece.
So I'd talked to him about it again. I kind of just said, well, let's try to go for it and see what happens.
So then it was just a matter of getting someone to get a 3,000-pound log. We found a guy, Rex.
First thing we got to do is set the log up on here and get it all clamped down and solid in the right position.
Okay.
When we tell people that we have a sawmill and they ask where, and we say, well, it's right next to Sky Harbor Airport, they don't believe that that's possible. And the second thing is a lot of people really have never thought about where lumber comes from. LeVar and I grew up on farms about 15 miles apart in southern Idaho. And I was an only boy. Had sisters, but no brothers. It became where LeVar was my brother. And when we retired, we had a chance to get together.
We tell people, we ran a big survey to figure out what business we wanted to go into. We decided we didn't want to do the pallet business. We didn't want to do a tire shop. We didn't want a restaurant. Right, Rick?
Yeah.
And so we decided Sawmill. We just started on a whim.
Let me see.
So, did you build this whole thing?
Yeah.
Nice. How long did it take you to design it?
You know, internet's a wonderful thing.
Oh, no, that's true. So, while you're doing that, can you tell me about Aleppo pine? What you know about Aleppo pine?
Well, what I know about it is what I've gone on the internet, and you know, Wikipedia has a write-up on it and stuff. But it's native to the Mediterranean Holy Land area. This was the main construction wood that the Romans used to make chariots and stuff out of. And how they cut it, I'll never know. I mean, the blades have to be really sharp, and everything has to be right for us to make it work.
So where do you get most of the lumber from?
Most of the people that take down trees are very happy to give them to me because in order to go into the landfill, they can't be any more than 24-inch blocks.
Oh, okay.
And it costs them $40 a ton.
That's a lot of cutting. So this would be how much? How much would this?
This was about 2 tons. This would be
$80.
$80 just for this piece to go to the dump.
And then how much labor would you think?
Well, it would take a guy a couple hours to cut that. Oh, well, an hour maybe with a sharp chainsaw. But then you got to sharpen the chainsaw and the gas on the chainsaw and all that.
So they're happy to give you the trees.
Yeah.
People feel a lot of passion towards their urban forests, whether they know it or not, whether it's one tree that their tire swing hangs off of that they love, or the trees that they really appreciate when they're walking across a hot sidewalk. People love their urban trees, but they often also sort of forget about them and don't realize that a tree is a living creature that needs maintenance over time, especially in the often harsh environments of an urban community.
We've run out, of accessible, sustainably harvested hardwoods, for furniture. And so if there are trees that we can use for furniture and for flooring and for all the things that we're cutting down forests for, it's an incredibly profound conservation opportunity.
Building furniture with, an urban tree or material from an urban tree that has a place in somebody's yard or somebody's home, it's more than just something on the street. I mean, we've all grown up with trees where you have a swing hanging from it, or, you played hide and seek. And, I think by having those trees, rather than going into landfill, become a piece of furniture or whatever it might be, and if it's still held within the family, then there's stories to be told.
We try to keep trees alive as much as possible, but at the same time, if we do have to remove them, we've been able to devise a plan of keeping these trees alive past their presence in the ground, I guess you could say.
So many people have grown up with pressed wood and plastic, and then we're putting this beautiful wood in the garbage. And we just want to see this be used and passed down from generation to generation.
From then, Silas and I had to dry it, so brought it back here and set up a drying rack of sorts, at least.
We had heard that we were supposed to stack the wood with stickers in between the wood. The idea being to circulate the air between the wood, but support it uniformly so it doesn't warp too much.
We tarped it to help control that so that it wouldn't dry too quickly. And then we got a whole bunch of mold.
Is that mold?
In the black, yeah.
No, come down.
Oh my gosh. Ew, that's disgusting looking.
I know, it's like a forest down there. Like thick forests of mold. Like, I don't know, it was a lot of mold. I've never seen that much mold. And we weren't sure if that was bad or not.
So we untarped it and it dried a lot quicker after that. Probably to a detriment, but.
With how hot it is here and dry it is relatively to other parts of the country, it dried extremely quickly. How do you feel about this?
If it's as dry as it says it is, I think,
Yeah,
I think at this point it'll be okay.
it should only get down to 7 or 8%, maybe.
Did you see any numbers what people projected it takes Arizona wood to dry?
No, because no one dries. I mean, there's not enough Arizona people.
Yeah.
Some people are like, oh, Arizona, the Southwest, you can air dry it to furniture grade, and it'll be faster than the time. But they don't really say. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe with mesquite, but or whatever they were drying. But no one states for Aleppo pine.
Yeah.
So,
because it seems like, I mean, it's only been 2 weeks and it's getting pretty dry. But what was it? An inch a year, right?
yeah, but
I don't think it's going to take that long
this would
here.
take like 2.5 years. I don't think it'll take that
I don't think it will either.
It was just a matter of a few months that this wood was below 10%, which is considered dry enough to work with. So it was way too fast. So there's some checking, which is the wood actually, you see where it dried so fast, it sort of split from itself, which isn't what we wanted. But it's what happened. And then there was twisting, a lot of twisting, which is worse than the checking, because that means we have to flatten this stuff and remove a large portion of the wood just to get it flat on the inside.
So we just spent hours just having this router on the sled, just passing it back and forth and inch by inch or less, but I think it's 3/4 bit, just flattening this piece of wood. And you have to do this multiple times for this 10-foot board.
We end up wasting a lot of wood, turning it into small little wood chips. But
the way that the business happened was that I had moved out here to teach myself furniture making and couldn't find material to work with that was really moving me. But it seemed strange because the logs are all around us. It seemed like there's material everywhere, but where's the lumber? Where's that special piece of wood that just really could be the focus of a piece of work? And then I sort of came to realize that the potential was all around us, but that the people who are handling it didn't have a picture of what it could be in the end. So that somebody needed to act as its steward, as the resources steward, but didn't have a background in sawmilling or logging, had never driven a tractor, didn't know how to use a chainsaw. Being a sawyer is a craft all of its own. It's complicated and fascinating, and it also has this completely unpredictable aspect to it that's, really very, very interesting. Everybody, I think, acknowledges that we shouldn't be wasting, that we should be working from our local resources, that we should be engaged in this exercise of gratitude, which is really what it is. But the biggest challenge is also what makes it rewarding, which is that wood is a big pain. It's inconvenient, it's heavy, it's perishable, it has a mind of its own. There's the constant care and that constant work that, you really have to stay on top of, or else the whole exercise has been pointless.
Isn't it cool just seeing a big plank of wood?
Yeah, that is cool as well, just seeing it. It's not.
It's got some work.
It's not flat.
It has character, but
Our wood's got character.
it's got character. So the question is, how thick, if we kept it full width,
Yeah.
how thick could it stay? We're gonna have to do some calculations, because how thick is this piece of wood? All right, so I'm an inch 12. Yeah, a little over 3/8 here.
I don't think we're gonna be able to keep it full length.
Yeah, it'd be like a 5/8 inch piece of wood.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
11/16, but
It's not a lot.
so 5/8 is about what it would be, assuming that everything works
Yeah.
how we want it to. So that's, I mean, obviously that's a lot
Yeah.
that you'd be reducing it. But if we ripped it in half, I mean, I love how big this is. I really would want to keep it as big as possible, but you have to be able to use it. That's the thing. So if we ripped it in half, we might be able to get 4/4 out of it, maybe, or 3/4. And that's what really we need for a tabletop or something.
Yeah.
So that's pretty dwarf.
It is. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, oh well. I mean, yeah, I don't think we rip it. We're still, I mean, it'd be nice to have one continuous board, but.
Well, we'll see, and maybe those thicker ones didn't do as much. Who knows? I don't know. So if we were to ever do it again, we should find out how we. I know what causes it, but we should find out if there are other ways to prevent it. Yeah, so we'll just leave this one in here, and then when we come back, it's gonna just be flattened. Like it's just gonna settle down.
Mm-hmm.
You think?
Hey, wait, what? What's the question?
Yeah, we just
It'll
come
just
back in,
it'll just rest and just,
settle down. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
That would be wonderful.
Alrighty, I'm John Bora. I'm a certified arborist here in the state of Arizona. I own and operate All American Arborist. We are a specialty tree service company that tries to offer the utmost quality in the work we do. At the same time, trying to sustain our urban forest in maintaining as many trees as possible to keep them safe from storm damage, removals. We don't like to remove trees unless there's a real need for it. But every now and then we do come into removals that are necessary. So right now we're heading to a green dump. It's a recycling center out here. All they take is green waste. So now, we pay a little bit more to dump, but we know it's not just getting mowed over with dirt and then put in a landfill. It's actually being used for other stuff. So I think we spend about $600 to $800 every week just in dump fees. I mean, you add that up, we're spending upwards of close to $3,000 a month just in dump fees. And a lot of people don't realize that, it's not necessarily trimming the tree and removing the tree isn't the hard part, it's the cleanup that's the hard part. That's where most of the expense comes from, because we could trim a tree, a job that'll take us 4 hours, we could have the tree probably trimmed in an hour. But then it's the rest of the 3 hours cleaning everything up from what we had trimmed. We were here at the dump and we noticed this big log of mesquite that, could be utilized for something else. So we figured, why not try to take it off their hands here and try to do something with it. So we're gonna come back later today and pick it up and take it to the sawmill instead of letting it get turned into mulch. It's just so amazing to me, and that's why I guess I love what I do so much, because it's just so amazing to see what this can become. It's not just a living organism. It's something that produces clean air for us. It's something that gives us shade, nonetheless, in the desert. It's a privilege to have trees, in my opinion.
So I've been looking to buy a house in Tempe for a few months now. I finally found one. Silas and I were talking about making tables, so I thought that making a table for my own house for something that I can use and enjoy for a long time to come with my family would be really cool.
So one of my first woodworking projects was building myself and my family a dining table. It took me forever, but it turned out to be one of my most rewarding projects.
So we have enough wood to make more than one table. So what we're thinking so far is I'm going to build a table for my house and kind of have it be more of my design. And then Silas is going to design another one, and we're going to build that for another family that we can give it away to.
The dining table I built for my family has been a great place to spend time every day with my family. It's just been a great connecting place. So I think that taking this wood that was destined for the landfill to just be destroyed, that came from a beautiful tree that had a beautiful life, and to give it a new life in this unique environment, it just adds something to the story.
If we remove a tree from someone's yard, there's a lot of sentimental value in those trees that have been a part of their family, possibly for generations. They'll come here with an idea. Originally, let's just build a little coffee table, and then before you know it, you're cutting a slab for a coffee table, and then there's enough material, you'll cut a book match slab, and they'll make a dining room table where their family can sit around and have dinner.
Handmade tables, whether they're from the urban forest or from anywhere else, they're beautiful and they're cherished pieces of furniture. So I think it's probably even more important if it's something that, they were able to salvage from their own yard, because it makes them feel good about, having to lose a tree, but having something to remember it by.
For some people, it's really cool if grandma planted a tree in the backyard and the kids watched it grow and it's been in their family for generations, and little Susie had a rope swing off of it. A lot of times it's really important to the family to be able to salvage a piece of that for a dining table or for some family heirloom.
Put yourself back in a mindset where you're buying something of quality, you're supporting your community, and you're buying a table that is made to last for literally hundreds of years. So that's generations of your family that will never have to buy a crappy table.
Well, a dining room table is really a family gathering place. Just think about the conversations that are going to come up at that table, not just about the food, but remember that this table was made from that tree. Remember when we did this, or remember when we did that? So, it doesn't get any better than that.
My very first dining table that I made as a furniture maker, was my pride and joy. And when I met my wife, or future wife, we were living together, and she put a vase of flowers on the table, which created some rings on the top, and I was appalled. I was like, oh my God, this beautiful thing is no longer beautiful. But that was the least of my worries, because we had 2 kids, so there was petrified oatmeal that was on the bottom, there's magic markers, there's stickers that we couldn't get off, and fast forward 18 years and everybody's going off to college, and I brought it out and looked at it and just realized how beautiful it was, and that instead of refinishing it, it was this historical reference of me and them and us being around this table that was just so beautiful. And I think all furniture should be thought that way.
So we've been married for just over 8 years in April. Christy's always had a desire to be a mom. Eventually, after several years of trying to have kids, it wasn't happening. But then there was a huge need for foster families in Arizona, so we decided to start looking into what that meant, whether that's something we could do.
On my birthday, we got the call that we were licensed, and we had kids almost right away.
In foster care, you keep the kids while they're going through the court systems, and there's no real definitive answers to where it's going. So they actually called us and asked us if we would adopt the kids, and then the next week, we found out Christy was pregnant.
So. Yes. So, that was a surprise. pretty cool surprise, but a big surprise.
Routine is really important. They have a lot of chaos in their schedules, a whole bunch of different people from all kinds of different organizations. So we do eat at about the same time every night. And then they know the routine after eating. That's kind of where their routine starts. There's going to be dinner, and then we'll play, and then there'll be brushing our teeth and stories and bedtime. So
I think it's something they can depend on. It encourages relationship as a family to spend that time together.
I was hoping maybe this table could be made from this tree. So this is kind of what the green is like. This is the end green. And it's got really large green patterns. This is of a large slab. Some of it has this bluing, which is apparently some sort of fungus or something.
Okay.
But some people pay extra.
Yes.
yeah, you want fungus.
This is a design it came up with. And this isn't locked in, but it's sort of similar to the design you had sent me.
I like it. I like the farmhouse look of it.
Yeah, that would definitely meet our needs. Christy has a habit of collecting tables from people, so now we can at least have one actual nice table.
Yes,
That'd be
he
awesome.
said, once we get the table, we're gonna throw all your tables away. But I said we're gonna use them outside.
And I was like, as long as they never come inside again.
Why am I doing this? You know, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of doing it? You know, that is a question that all artists, I think, have to answer for themselves. You know, my art over time has changed. I'm just really looking at light and themes of redemption and repurposing and letting the process run me. You know, it's all about seeing into an object and maybe taking it out of its context. And even the small pieces of wood, you know, you start looking at it and you start looking at, you know, the time that it was alive and the time when it had a purpose. And, you know, when I look at this and I start thinking about, you know, a railroad actually went over the railroad tie. Now I'm taking it and I'm creating something completely different, and the wood has got a new life to it. A lot of times the reason I have so many layers on my work is that other layer did not come out quite right. I wasn't content with it, so I build layer upon layer. And the neat thing is that layer that I didn't think was a good layer contributes to the piece. And I look at the rings in wood, and I just, you know, what was that year like? How did that tree grow? And did it have enough water? Did it not have? And so it just tells a story. Every layer tells a story. And so, you know, life is like that. It's just successive moments of time, and it's just layered. And now you have this timeline and this storyline. So I like to add my story to that, to the wood story as well. You got to let go. You got to just get into that zone, or get into that area where you're just being a tool to create something. And it's a scary process. And but when you let go, amazing things can happen.
Looks like
Trim
electrical overheating of some kind.
Yeah, you can see a little smoke somewhere.
You ain't got that on camera, have you?
Not all of it. Just the juicy bits. This is our probably going to be our thickest
one, so we might have to later take it down more to
where
match.
they're the same as
Because
those.
we want, I think it's this one and that one to match.
Gosh dang.
I'd go biscuit that together, glue it, and then
Start sanding it.
That's right.
Quality and sustainability go hand in hand. Something that's made really well with real craftsmanship lasts. It has a service life that vastly exceeds something if it's made carelessly. The other aspect of that is that if it's beautiful, we treasure it. And that means that applying that craftsmanship or that intensity of work to an object can mean that it isn't made 20 times and thrown away. Instead, it's kept.
By locally sourcing your wood, you bring the price way down on your materials, and you also, it's like a farmer getting to know his soil and how different crops are going to react, or your livestock, you know. Wood that has been saved from the landfill, there's a sort of local pride to it. Like, we're, from soup to nuts, we're doing this project the best we can, and that gives a great sense of pride.
When people see good craftsmanship, I think they look at it and say, boy, you know, that's amazing. How did they do that? I still do that. Craftsmanship is very important. We're not going to stop technology. I mean, it's going to be out there, and there's going to be machines that can create things that used to be made by hand. And that's okay. I think that's okay. But we never want to lose actual craftsmanship done by someone's hands.
So we've done a lot of work and gotten all these boards prepared. Now it's time to start putting everything together.
For my table, I think of it in two pieces. I think of the tabletop, the book match slabs, and then the welded base.
For the table I'm building for Ryan and Christy, I've got a bit more of a traditional trestle table design in mind.
I haven't done very much welding before, so that'll be interesting to see how it goes for the table, especially since that has to be weight-bearing and more structurally sound.
After all the hours that we've put into just preparing the material and getting it ready to use, we're entering the part where we just put everything together, which I love, just seeing what we've come up with in our heads just start to take shape.
Large blows.
We should mark with a pencil so when we're gluing it, you know. Is that where you want them lined up? Because you just want to be able to line them up later.
Yeah.
When you're gluing it, just in case there's any variations. We just have to choose the depths, though, right?
Oh, yeah, how far up and down it needs to be.
Because our thickness is approximately 1.5 inches.
1.5?
Yeah. It's nuts. I think these started out over 2.5 inches. What? Heck, didn't they? No. 2 1/4. 2 3/8 almost. Was the original thickness. All right.
All right, you
drop
got
it down.
you got the little shim.
I
for
have
one
the
side?
shim. Yep. So. Yeah, is yours?
That's,
Huh?
I thought it was.
Okay, let's just get the clamps. Because
All right. It's worked before. Oh,
are you on?
no, let me go down a little more. There we go.
Right now it's coming together.
Oh, shoot, look. Silas.
Oh, the line. It's not lined up exactly.
No, it's not.
Do you think we can shift it?
Yeah, I think so. Should we tighten this one down?
No. What you're getting now is that glue is it's not set, but it's you have
causing a lot of resistance.
Yeah, I mean if we can try to open it up for a minute, but even that might be kind of it's gonna be tough. I'm just a little worried that if we try pulling it apart, we're gonna spend like
10 minutes trying to line it up. What do you? And then have problems with the glue.
Yeah.
Getting set too much.
I don't think it's bad.
Gotta make a decision now.
Well, let's clamp down one side, and we'll see if just hammering it does anything, and then otherwise we'll just clamp together.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking at this glue, and it already has surface tension. So
yeah, you're right.
We're basically set.
Wood from the Hood started with a basic desire to do something with the wood coming down in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. A lot of talk had happened about it, but no one was really doing anything about it. I thought I had the resources and things to do it, so after a tree came down in our own yard and it was reclaimed, kind of got us thinking, and one thing led to another, and Wood from the Hood was born. We take trees all the way from the log, saw it, turn it into lumber, and then we offer it for sale as raw lumber, or we turn it into finished products for the consumers or wholesale. Emerald ash borer is now affecting the ash trees in Minneapolis, of course. So now we're promoting the use of ash, which typically is not a real big wood species used in the upper Midwest. We're trying to introduce ash as that next new species, so we're trying to promote it in products, tell the story of the emerald ash borer, to make people aware of it, to try to be able to have a use for all of this ash that's coming down. So we chose the consumer audience because not everyone can afford that, big kitchen table, or a bar or something like that. So by offering a smaller product, we could get it to more people and get the awareness out there of the urban wood.
I think that people feel connected to trees and that they want to see them live on. And I think that it's neat to see that just because they died from emerald ash borer or something like that, that they can still keep growing. Thing about the cribbage boards, people play cribbage together and it brings them together as friends or family, and they can talk about where that cribbage board grew up and they can tell a whole story. It kind of adds to the whole event.
This is actually my favorite part of the project. It's just building the joints and starting to see it turn into the thing I'm actually making. And then comes the harder, or the more tedious parts, like sanding, that kind of stuff, which they're important. I have to do them, but I don't enjoy them as much as this part. This is my favorite. This is a satisfying weight of wood.
Yeah.
And they're all nice, pretty nice pieces. Like, I feel really good about the base pieces. I think it's beautiful. Which I wasn't sure if I was going to think it was beautiful or not, because I had never worked with this wood before. But I do. I like it. 1 3/8. Just as planned. Whew. It's a thing of beauty. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's gonna work.
I've never done this before, so hopefully it works. I think it'll work. I think the main thing is the structure. Making sure it's stable, especially once it's weighted, it doesn't flex. So if we have to throw in lots of bracing, I guess that's just what it's going to turn into. We'll see. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Where'd you get it?
Industrial metal supply.
I've been there.
It makes you feel like a man. You're like, damn, you're like, look at all these men in their big pieces of steel.
Yeah.
I'm a man too.
do you think?
I think it'll be good. Once we get some, whichever way it goes.
But the table's gonna balance just on that, right?
Yeah.
When you put plates down, make sure you put them simultaneously on all four corners.
Balance everything. Yeah, we can always adjust a little bit. There's always a little room for adjustment.
There's definitely room for adjustment. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's not such a shabby job.
It's pretty good.
Not so bad.
See, I knew you were the better. Well, I don't know if you're better, but I assume you're better.
I am the welder.
You're the welder.
At Rico Brooklyn, we mill live edge slabs from local New York City trees that we harvest from the waste stream. We do live edge and other types of furniture. We're either in the wood shop or out here at the mill, and that's what Rico's all about. Hurricane Sandy and the year before Hurricane Irene, they put a lot of material in our laps. Tens of thousands of trees came down in Sandy, and Irene was pretty bad too. They were opening up a lot of landfill areas that had been closed and full, just to use a space to stage this material.
They literally had log piles that were up to a mile long, sometimes over 20 to 30 feet tall, because nobody knew what to do with all these logs. There was too much to chip quick enough, and they just needed to offload them. So they were looking for any avenue possible to offload logs.
We were able to walk away with, I still have logs from Sandy that were, every log that you see here is probably from Sandy. Those large-scale events, you know, they have very, very much, you know, long-lasting effects in our business because people remember them, and it's at least a year, sometimes multiple years, where we still have that material, and it can strike a chord with people. We've done a lot of pieces for people whose homes were affected by the storms and who wanted to, as a way of like, you know, rebuilding and rising above, take something from that and use it back in their home. We've done a lot of that.
After we got our tabletops joined together and got all the joinery finished and everything, we had to apply the finish, and just the last few days have been kind of crazy, just putting everything together and putting on the finish and just the final steps.
So the table's all finished. I think it's looking great. I really like how it turned out with the wire based and the tapered end. So I'm really excited to just get it in the house and see what it looks like in that space. Yeah, I can kind of twist it this way. Okay, there we go. Whew. Whoa. Oh, sorry. Woo. Good, it fits. I'll move this couch and I think it'll work.
You want to sit down? Yeah, sure. I've got a chair for you.
Now we got a big table to eat at. We can eat here now, Violet. What? Do you want to eat here? Yeah. So we're going to be eating now. No, cereal. You need cereal at the table? Rearrange everything now. Everything looks so crowded now that it's full.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
The more stuff I put in here, the more I realize, like, this is a little house.
All right, go. Here it comes.
Wow.
Good table. All right. Do you want it moved anywhere? Or?
I think it's good right there.
All right.
Or we can try it the long way one time, just so I can see.
Which way?
The long way.
Okay.
This way.
All right.
So I can see. Yeah, I think I like. Well, I can't decide. It's probably gonna go back and forth several times. Sorry.
That's. Do you like it?
Yeah,
Hopefully-
Silas made it. Isn't that so cool? Yeah, it's like that.
It looks a little bit like a house. This looks a little bit like a roof, doesn't it? In here. I'm glad you appreciate the joinery. That's my favorite part too. This was the edge of the tree before it fell down. So we kept it in there so we could remember that it came from Tempe. This tree came from Tempe. I saw the tree falling down in someone's yard, and I decided to make something from it. It was growing in their yard, and then it fell down. His name's Mr. Gene, and that's Miss Mary. See that? That's Rex. See that guy? He's really nice, and he's got this big, huge saw, and so he cut it into slices for us. And then that's where I built the tables, in my workshop.
I think that's crazy that you took something that was supposed to be garbage and made it beautiful. Pretty excited to have dinner with everybody and start new family traditions around it. All sorts of fun stuff. And see what we can pass down, huh? Yeah.
We could probably fit 6 more kids around that thing. So we could have like 10 kids. All fit around that table still.
One of the siblings has to do it. I'm not gonna do it, so.
No, we're not gonna do it.
There's a lot of power in the story of Urban Wood as coming from just outside your door and becoming your favorite piece of furniture or becoming the heat that you use in winter. And I think we need a little bit more comprehensive marketing around that in order to help people understand why that's valuable.
In commercial forestry, when logs are taken out for lumber, what they're looking for is a homogeneous product. But there's not much of a story there. There's not much of a narrative. On the other hand, the narrative for urban wood is altogether different. There's provenance, there's grain and figure and color, there's personal significance, and finally it has community significance.
I love the idea of passing things down that you've built with your own hands to your family or even friends sometimes. You know, your grandfather built this for us and gave it to us as a anniversary gift or whatever it might have been, or just gave it to us because he wanted us to have it.
Reusing the wood does have, it does have a deep meaning, I think a deep connection. There's a lot more a connection with a piece that has a backstory with it. Anybody that I tell about the project's always, I think, really interested how the wood was previously unusable and no good, that we did get to bring it back and bring it to a higher state, kind of has redemptive qualities there.
Yeah, I've put those trees to waste. I've been that guy that takes them to the dump and doesn't care about them anymore. I've been the one to sell them for firewood, and beautiful trees that shouldn't be going to firewood. I didn't realize how much beauty is inside that tree versus just the outward appearance of it. More or less, when I started my company, I looked at it as this is what I do for a living, is take down trees, trim trees. But it's kind of changed from that mentality to I'm preserving the future for my kids.
For me, personally, working with this tree has been, and redeeming it to this higher purpose has been really cool. I like to see the rings of the tree's growth and think about how it had a life and it had its hardships and it's had its good times and its bad times, and that's all reflected in this history of the tree. And then that was just being destroyed because it was dead, it had died. And so for me, that just has some significance to be able to, as a maker, as a creator, to be able to pull that out of that state and give it new life. And it's a reminder to me just of how I have those ups and downs in my life, and I have those hard times and those just the ugly things in my life, but the good things in my life. I hadn't thought about it in that way, before. And when I finished up this table, it's just a very tangible reminder of what redemption means to me.
There's something about redemption that is really celebratory. And I'm taking a throwaway piece of wood and adding new life by adding resins to it, by recreating it and giving it a whole different life and a whole different look. So that's a big part of my artwork is taking something that was useless or no longer viewed as valuable and adding something that is beautiful and now making it a valuable thing.
Now that the tables are done, we thought it would be real fun to just bring everyone together and show the final product, show the tables, and then let everyone meet each other that we've met along the way. From the author to the arborist, and from the sawyer to the family who receives the table.
It was interesting to have everybody at the party. A lot of people hadn't previously met the others, so talking about common interests was really interesting, seeing different perspectives of what other people are working on.
Well, I think they're gorgeous. I like the contrast between the metal base and the wood base. Grain pattern in them is unique to Aleppo. I'm proud to know that we had a part in this, and that this idea is catching on.
The movement is definitely going to grow as long as people need to remove trees around their houses. So we're all in it for the same purpose, and I guess turning something that looks like trash into something new and something that serves a purpose. A table from start to end as a finished product is just unreal to see what it can actually be.
Very nice job. Very well done. I'm very impressed. I know that a lot of the furniture goes to people who can easily afford it and it works for them, but when it plays this extra role, I think that adds something extra to the value of the table itself and to the effort that went into it. It's like the tree is still here and still serving a function, only just a different one. Yeah. So if getting together like this and celebrating reusing a tree that otherwise would have been mulch or firewood, I think is a terrific occasion. We should do more of it.
And I'm really proud of how it turned out. I'm really glad with the final product that we have. I think it's really unique, and I think a kind of a joy to share with other people.
This whole process has been really personally rewarding, and it's been an honor to be able to give this tree a new chance, a second chance, a second life. I get to see this young family flourish around this table, and to me, that's just, to me, it's just really awesome to have played a small part in that.
Yeah, the number of people that took part in salvaging and redeeming that tree, making it into a table, it's pretty amazing. Just the amount of people that went into it and what turned out to be the work of art that it is.
And all the love that went into it. That's pretty cool.